Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to unpack a pretty wild forecast about our hyper-technological world in 2050. And really, it all boils down to two massive economic shifts that could rewrite, well, pretty much everything. Business, society, even what it means to be human. This quote, it really sets the scene, doesn't it? It gives you this image of a future that is just incredibly efficient, super seamless, but maybe a little cold, too? Like all the messy, unpredictable parts of our world today have just been polished away, optimized right out of existence. And look, we're not just talking about cool new gadgets or, flying cars. The forecast we're digging into here describes something way bigger, a complete recalibration of what it even means to be human. And it all comes down to two massive economic transformations. So let's break them down. Okay, so what's so wild about this is just the scale of the change we're talking about. I mean, think about it. We go from what this forecast calls our quaint limitations, which is where we are now, to a reality where something impossible today is just another line item on a balance sheet tomorrow. We basically level up from being a planetary species to what's called a systemic species, one that operates across the whole solar system. It's a huge leap. All right, so let's tackle the first pillar of this new economy. And it's not just about exploring space for science, no. This is about the complete commercialization of our solar system. And according to this forecast, one company is right at the heart of it all: SpaceX. The key concept to get your head around here is this thing called the Interplanetary Highway. But don't think of it like an actual road. It's more like the entire operating system for the solar system's economy. The forecast paints a picture where SpaceX basically becomes the Ma Bell of space, controlling all the essential pipes and wires. Except here, it's the infrastructure for all the movement of people, resources, and money. And just look at how deep that control goes. We're talking about permanent factories on Mars, digging up resources. Total, absolute control over all deep space transport. And get this, a totally sovereign commercial zone up in low Earth orbit, a place for stuff like high-frequency trading and advanced R&D, completely outside the reach of any laws back on Earth. Wild. But that leads to a huge question, right? Conquering space is about way more than just rockets. How do you actually build a workforce for the stars? I mean, you can have all the infrastructure in the world, but to really expand out there, you need the people. And to get those people, well, according to this forecast, we first had to master our own biology. And that brings us to the second pillar of this 2050 economy. And honestly, this one might be even more startling. We're talking about completely decoupling human reproduction from human biology. Yeah. In this future, having a baby has become a corporate service. The technology at the heart of this is called ectogenesis, basically growing a human fetus outside the body, in an artificial womb. And in the hyper-competitive business world of 2050 that this forecast describes, you know what traditional pregnancy is seen as? Inefficient, unpredictable, and frankly, a major liability for your career. And just think about how this totally rewrites the professional playbook. That maternity gap that can sideline a career, it's just gone, poof. Instead, you've got Gestation-as-a-Service, GaaS for short. Seriously, companies literally offer subscription models for building your family. And what does this guarantee? What the forecast calls a predictable Health ROI. Every new person is developed under optimal, standardized conditions. The goal is a consistently healthy, capable workforce. Okay, so you've got commercialized space on one hand and industrialized human reproduction on the other. Pretty big ideas, right? Now let's zoom out a bit and see how these two massive, world-changing forces actually lock together to create one single, incredibly powerful system. And this is where all clicks into place. It's a perfect loop. See, the aerospace sector, it needs a massive, highly capable workforce for all that mining and for those factories in orbit. So where do they get them? Well, the healthcare sector provides that workforce, perfectly engineered through ectogenesis. And then that workforce goes on to work in those zero-G facilities, making things like new alloys and proteins that you just can't make on Earth. It feeds itself over and over. So, okay, what does all this mean for you, for the individual? The point here is that this isn't just some sci-fi fantasy about a distant future. It's presenting a new operating system for how we live and work. A totally new game with a brand new set of rules. And I mean, just chew on this for a second. In this world, Earth isn't the center of everything anymore. It's the legacy office, the old headquarters, All the real action, the real growth, the real future, it's happening off-world. And this might be the most mind-bending change of all. Those fundamental biological realities that have defined humanity for forever, they're no longer givens. They're not unchangeable facts of life anymore. They become strategic choices, business decisions, basically, optimized for your career path and economic output. And that's where this forecast leaves us. It flips the script. It stops being a question of what will technology be able to do, and it becomes a question of what are we willing to become. So the final question for you isn't what will the future look like anymore, but are you ready to operate in that world?